For today's episode, the last episode of 2025, I am joined by my co-founders Sinem and Philip, and we'll share the 3 lessons we've learned from reaching more than 1,000 paid subscribers on Substack in 2025. Now, overall, 2025 has been an amazing year for us in Substack. We've grown from 4,000 to 29,000 subscribers, and from about 100 paid subscribers to well over 1,000 paid subscribers. And that is exactly what we'll be talking about in today's episode. So, Sinem, what is one of the key lessons that we've learned this year on Substack?
I find one interesting one lesson in particular very interesting. It's the dynamic between free and paid content, and I feel like this is a key mistake a lot of beginners on Substack make. There is this perception that if you want to make money on the platform, if you want to monetize your writing, your expertise, you just start a paid tier, you put out paid content, and you monetize. And we see a lot of beginners really missing out the whole point, because your free content is incredibly important, not before you have a paywall, but also after you have a paywall, because your free content essentially sells your paid content, right? If I see your publication and I cannot spend at least like an hour browsing through your free content and really loving it and building trust and getting to know you and your work, there's not going to be a huge signal for me to actually buy into your paid tier. And a lot of newer Substackers, they make this mistake of just starting their paywall without a proper plan, without knowing how the free and the paid content is going to work together. And what usually happens is they burn out, they lose the joy of creating, because they now have the paywall, they have to create paid content, they have less time for their free content, so the quality drops, they attract fewer new readers, and it really becomes a downward spiral that is not leading to the results they wanted to see in the first place.
I think something that I see a lot is that if someone then turns on paid, then they might make the mistake of, okay, you know what, now I'm going to make most of my content paid. Basically, like create more of what they already did, but now slap a paywall on it and then expect that to bring in paid subscribers. Well, that's not really the case. I think most of the content you create on Substack should actually be free, and then create like very dedicated pieces of premium content that are distinctly different, maybe a different type of content like video or a downloadable, for example, or a workshop, and really put time and effort into making it high value, making it different. But your free content, like if you look at our publishing schedule, for example, we have 3 posts per week. 2 of those posts are completely free, right? And then even a lot of our premium content, we make the first 25% or the first third or even half of it for free as well, just so people can get a taste of what our premium content is like. Because like you said, Sinem, it's all about building trust in that sense and really painting a picture of, hey, this is actually what I do, what value I have to offer, what I can teach you, what problems I help you solve, what results I help you get. And if you just slap a paywall on it, there's no way for people from outsiders to really see that and see the value in your paid content.
And I feel like there are 2 aspects that people often miss for the paid tier in particular. It's one is if you want to grow the paid tier in particular, you need to think of it as something that you're selling. Like there needs to be a clear reason for people to buy in. But on the other side, we didn't grow to over 1,000 paid subscribers because we kept optimizing the paywall and the offer. We know that people love our free content and appreciate it so much that when we actually promote the paid tier, which we only do a handful of times now, upgrading feels so natural because they have already gotten so much value from us. And it's such a no-brainer to invest $80 a year into our content, because you know that it's going to be at least as valuable as everything that you've read for free. So we do all the selling with our free content up front, so that when we make an offer, it's really a no-brainer. And I also know there are some publications where they have a paid tier where it's literally like just a support mechanism, like a donation jar for the creator. But if the free content is so solid that people want to basically give you money as a token of appreciation, I see people having like a couple hundred paid subscribers that way. It's not what we teach and what we recommend, but if you don't want to sell, it does work because if people get value, they want to invest in you.
Yeah. There's one more thing that I would love to point out because we already talked about the free content and the premium content. And I want to talk about the special pieces of content. And that's something that we started just a couple of months ago and that we are now doing approximately every 3 to 6 months. And that's the following. Think of your publication of something that you're doing every week. So every week you have your free content and you have your paid content. But then seasonally, just a couple of times a year, try to release something that is really good. And when I say really good, aim for 10x. Try to create a posting that is just so much better than everything else that is out there. So much better can mean that it's larger, that it's more in-depth, that it's more behind the scenes, more stories whatsoever. But try to create pillar pieces that really stand out. So as an example, we only did this twice this year. One was about 365 lessons that we learned in our first 365 days on Substack. The second one was something about business lessons that we learned from turning our business into a 7-figure business online. These have been extensive articles, and all of those have been a lot of work. Basically, these have been the things where the three of us work together, where we easily spent much more work on than on a normal article, but that's just something super special that can allow your publication to really stand out.
Absolutely. When we call that pillar posts. And like you said, they take a lot more time and effort to create, but they have a very high ROI. So what we do with those pillar posts, we always pin them to our publications homepage. And usually they're pinned there for like months, which means that if someone discovers us through a live stream or through a Substack note or recommendation, and they go to our publication, they see that post as one of the first things, right? So they see 365 lessons we learned on Substack in our first 365 days. And that post has so much time and effort into it. It delivers so much value that it went pretty viral, actually. And I think it's our most profitable post, even though it's a free post. But we have a link to a promo of our paid tier within that post integrated in it. And to this day, it's still like delivering paid subscribers, but it's a free piece of content, right? So I think that really is the whole point here. The more time and effort you put into your free content, that builds so much trust, delivers so much value that it's going to be way easier to then sell your premium tier. And just imagine, like, if you are consistently posting out high value content, someone has been a subscriber for months, they've been reading your free stuff for months, they like what you do, it's going to be so much easier to sell your paid Substack to someone who's been reading your stuff for months already because they know you, they like you, they trust you, rather than creating more paid content in the hope that you can convince that one person to join your paid tier. No, it's actually the other way around, right? Put so much time and attention in your free content that upgrading almost feels like a no-brainer. So Philip, what about the second lesson that we have learned in 2025?
Happy to talk about that. I really thought a lot about what is like the number one lesson that I want to share, and I thought I make it as actionable as possible. And I want to address probably the biggest hype of 2025, which has been artificial intelligence. Let's be completely honest, AI is everywhere. We are using it for writing, we are using it for image generation. We and a lot of other people are also even using it for making strategic decisions. And we all know, and I'm pretty sure every listener here also knows, that by 2026, AI will continue to change more and more parts of our business. And I think this is actually a good thing, but I would also love to point out that we, for us, decided to use it in one specific way and not for other ways like multiple people are doing it. So we strongly believe that AI is an amazing tool to free up your time and that you should use it that way, other than like a lot of people are doing right now, trying to fix things together with AI to growth hack, to spam as much content as possible. We don't believe in that because we believe that real growth comes from trust, not from hacks. So what do I mean by that? If you take a look at what Jari, Sinem, and I have built, we invested a lot of time using AI, other smart tools and systems to free up as many of our time as possible. So our credo is that we try to automate the things that are repeatable and that are not high value for our customers so that we have as much time as possible to invest into those things that do not scale. When I talk about things that do not scale, I mean responding to comments in a meaningful way, doing live streams on Substack, jumping on discovery calls with potential clients, or like the YouTube channel that Sinem started, the podcast that you started, Jari. So we are really trying to free up as much of our time as possible so that we can do things that AI cannot do yet. And those are always things that get us in a personal connection with our target audience, because I strongly believe that by 2026, it will be super easy to create AI videos that look almost like yourself. But on the other hand, if you're doing a live stream, that is something that AI will not be able to do. So therefore, the more personal touch points you create with your target audience, the more trust you will build, and trust will be the ultimate decider if you're able to grow your business, your Substack publication, or your coaching business.
I think when you said personal connection and personal touch point, I think that's going to be so important in 2026 and beyond. I mean, it already is important, but it's only going to be more and more important because as AI is getting better and people get better with using AI, you'll see a lot of AI generated content, which is it's okay. I think you can use AI tools in a way to create content and still have it be you and your style, your voice, your stories. But I think a lot of people use it in a way that's super generic. And the one way to really stand out is to actually become more personal and to show more of you as an individual, not just you as maybe the expert or the coach or the teacher, but you as the individual. What are your beliefs? What are your hobbies? What are your stories, right? Showing yourself in that light helps people to connect with you and resonate with you. And then that's already like a large percentage of turning someone into a subscriber or a customer or a super fan because they resonate with you as an individual rather than basic how-to tips that you generate with AI, right? Which is something you see a lot. So I think that's going to be super important. And doing things like a Substack Live where you show up on camera, you cannot edit it, it cannot be polished. That's a great way to build that personal connection. Substack Notes where you share something personal about yourself, maybe even a picture of you traveling, or what I like to do, a picture of my dog, right? You share as much as you're comfortable with your personal things because it builds such a powerful connection. But then especially that one-on-one conversation, right? So if someone has been commenting on your work for a while, send them a DM on Substack, like get in a conversation with them. It might be that they are your biggest fan right now, but they haven't bought from you yet for whatever reason, right? You can get in a one-on-one conversation with them, which is not scalable. It takes your time and energy, but it's super effective. You get to learn more about who your audience is. Maybe it's a potential one-on-one client. Maybe it's a potential paid subscriber. Maybe they're a good fit for your program or cohort. But it's exactly doing those things that are less scalable, but way more personal. That is super effective. And I think only going to be more and more important in 2026.
And as we talk about it this way, I actually love that the shift happened this way, at least in the short run, because I remember when AI tools were first, becoming popular, the big hype and also the big fear in our topics, in our niches, was basically people were using it to write. And writers were kind of afraid, kind of mad that AI is replacing them. And they didn't want to use AI because why would I want to use AI if I actually started to write online because I love writing, right? And with everything that we're able to build now, with the way we can use AI is really, you can do what you love. It frees up your time to do more of it. And it frees up your time in a really meaningful way where you do less of the things you don't like, whether that's creating marketing materials, promotional resources, whether that's preparing for a live stream in a meaningful way so that the conversation is actually engaging and useful for your audience. If you've never done interviews, you've never done collaborations, there is a lot to prepare, but it's still a very, very useful way to grow on Substack. But you can let AI do the heavy lifting. And that way, when you do show up to the conversation, you can do what you're best at. You share your message, you share your expertise. And I think that's just such a relief for so many of our listeners, so many of our subscribers. You can keep doing what you're best at, and basically use AI to do many of the things that you didn't like doing in the first place.
That's a really good point, actually, right? If you really enjoy the craft of writing itself, then you don't need to use AI to help you to write an entire article for you. But maybe you don't enjoy writing marketing emails. Well, that's the perfect use case for AI, right? Or even if it's I don't know, a customer support question that you're getting and it drains your energy. You don't want to respond to it. Well, you can use AI in that case as well, right? And I think that way it frees up. It's a tool that you use that actually helps you become more efficient and helps you focus more on the things you do really enjoy and that make you you. And I think seeing it in that regard of it's a tool and it's there to be used in the way you want to use it. So I don't think people should completely disregard it or use it for everything they do. I mean, everyone's free to live how they want to live. But I think in my use case, for example, I really enjoy creating content. I don't really enjoy the whole editing part of an article or finding the best sentences, for example. Sometimes, because English is my second language, that can be a bit difficult even. But what I do instead, I just speak out my entire article, like usually half an hour worth of voice memos, speak that out into my phone. Then I upload that into an AI tool and it helps me, actually edit it and polish it so it's a well structured article, which
Mm.
is an act I don't really enjoy doing myself, but I really want to get the story out. I want to get the tips out there. And then it's really more used as a tool rather than the end all be all.
Yeah. And I'm 100% sure that in 2026, we are seeing a big shift from AI tools being used as really like tools that help us create something. There will be a shift for them to becoming accountability buddies. Like right now, there's a meeting with Sinem, Yari and myself. And in the future, there will also be, for example, an AI there that not only takes note, but that challenges our ideas, that helps us instantly spot blind spots or just challenge our ideas whenever we are heading into a wrong direction. We are already doing that with ChatGPT and other tools, but I really think that there's a lot of potential for creators because the majority of our clients that I talk with, they are just using AI to generate content. They are not really using it for strategic decision making, for planning, pivoting, and there's a lot of potential in 2026 and beyond.
I would say we move on to the third lesson that we learned in 2025, and that is to see your paid Substack way more like an entry point offer rather than the end point of monetization. I think a lot of Substack creators, they might be overly focused on paid subscriptions and see it as the holy grail of monetization and maybe the end point of monetization. But I think reframing it more as the starting point of monetization is going to be a way better decision for your business, revenue wise as well. And that's simply because your paid subscriptions and your paid subscribers, it can definitely make you good money for sure. And that monthly recurring revenue or annual recurring revenue is really, really nice. But there's only so much you can charge for a subscription, right? There's only so much people are willing to pay for a subscription. That might be $10 a month, might be $20 a month if you're already operating a bit on the higher end. So that means that basically there you can make good money, solid money, but when you monetize in the back end, meaning you have courses, meaning you have cohorts, you have digital products, maybe you offer one-on-one coaching or consulting, that is really where you will make the bulk of your revenue. So in our business, we really treat the paid Substack like an entry point offer. It's basically a gateway into our ecosystem, right? Where if someone has been a free subscriber for a while, they got in touch with our content, then upgrading to the paid tier is a very logical next step to take. Then once they are in the paid tier, they get received our paid content, our premium content, where hopefully that delivers a lot of value to them. It builds even more trust. It builds even a better relationship with us, so that then hopefully after a while they are ready to join one of our programs, join our exclusive community. Maybe they want to sign up for private coaching, right? And that is actually where the majority of the revenue is generated. So I think seeing your paid Substack way more like, okay, how, like seeing it as the entry point, seeing it as the first step into your ecosystem, is strategically a better decision for your business rather than seeing it as the only way you monetize your Substack. One of the things we like to say is that buyers buy again, right? So if someone has bought from you once, they're so much more likely to buy from you again in the future. If you only have a paid Substack as the only way you generate revenue, you're only giving people one opportunity to buy from you. But in your entire audience, there's people who want to be part of your paid Substack, but they might also want to buy your course, or they even want your one-on-one support, which could be like a high ticket $1,000 plus, $3,000 plus offer, right? And even if you do the math, like one high ticket coaching client of, let's just assume $1,000, right? That's what they pay for a coaching package. If your paid tier is $10 a month, that means you already need 100 paid subscribers every month versus one coaching client at $1,000 every month, right? So even from a math perspective, it's going to be way easier to convince one person to join your high ticket coaching program than 100 people to join your paid tier. So it's not that you have to choose between one of those two. We always say do both, right? That way you turn your Substack into multiple revenue sources. But it's just more to challenge your thinking on, hey, is this paid Substack the only way I monetize, or is it just the starting point of monetization?
What I love about this in particular is that there are so many opportunities in and outside of Substack. And also when we work with clients a little bit closer, we get to see so many opportunities, whether that's monetization opportunities, but also for their free content, for how they can leverage what they're doing in multiple ways. And that's also an encouragement that I would hope helps many people listening to this. Like, you have all those options, and I feel like this is also a bit like freeing because you cannot do all of it. You can pick what makes the most sense for you, what's the most fun for you, what's most effective for you, and basically create a path that feels really good and that also works and that actually helps you achieve your goals in the long run.
And if you look at our pricing structure, even, you can see that the way we designed it is that our annual plan, for example, is a lot more attractive than our monthly plan. If paid subscriptions would be the only way we'd monetize, we wouldn't do this. We would encourage as many people as possible to join the monthly plan because that's monthly recurring revenue in that sense would be the better choice. But because paid subscriptions are only the entry point, we want people to take the annual plan, even though we offer quite a steep discount on the annual plan, simply because we want people to stick with us and receive our premium content for an entire year rather than maybe 1 month or 2 months or 3 months and then jumping off, maybe then joining again. We prefer to have people in our premium plan for an entire year, so we know they actually receive our best content and our most valuable resources to build more trust, to build a deeper connection with them, so that they hopefully join our community, private coaching, or any of our programs. So in that sense, also pricing wise, it's a strategic decision, right? Make that annual plan more attractive, so that becomes like the default choice, so that now, for an entire year, you actually have the opportunity to engage with these paid subscribers to see if they're a good fit for any of your other offers that you have. So that's also one way at how treating your paid tier strategically. If you see it as the entry point, you will start making different decisions about your paid tier compared to when it's the only way you monetize.
Yeah. And a lot of times people ask us in our coaching calls or when we talk with them on Substack, and they are struggling with coming up what to offer for their paid tier. And or not only the paid tier, but also on top of that. And I can tell you, just think about what your customers actually need. And this works in every different field. It even works outside of Substack. So for example, Sinem and I recently joined a running club. And the running club is first of all free to join. And then you basically have the opportunity to meet on a monthly basis or even on a weekly basis sometimes. And you participate in those runs. You don't need to pay anything for that. But on top of that, they have different offers that are fit for specific groups of people. So for example, sometimes a runner will need new running gear. This running club is associated with a running shoe store. So therefore, people are very likely to purchase from there. Or for example, they are offering specialized one-on-one technique training, also not a fit for everyone. But if you build a community of runners, or in your case, Substack subscribers, you will find specific target groups or specific segments of your target audience that are interested in different offers. And therefore, I would really invite you to just start testing what are different things that your target audience could like, could enjoy, and see what sticks with them. And yeah, then you maybe have a course, you have an ebook, you have coaching, because we all know not everyone will buy high-priced coaching from you, but a lot of people will. And also a lot of people will buy a book, some others will buy a course from you. So I really encourage you to do what Jare and Sinem have said. Think of your Substack just as the entry point. It's your community building vehicle. And if you manage to build a community around yourself, you then have so many different options to provide additional value to your audience. And whenever you provide additional value, you can also charge additional revenue and income.
Exactly. And I think one thing that comes to my mind here is when, let's say you hear about all of these different monetization methods and you're like, but now I have to create a book and a course and coaching. Oh, it sounds so overwhelming. And maybe it sounds overwhelming if you're just getting started. I completely understand. But one thing to keep in mind, your content and what you teach can stay exactly the same. It's just that you offer it in a different format, right? So you can solve the same problem, teach the exact same skill in a course, in your community, and in your private coaching, for example. It's just a different vehicle in which you deliver it with a different degree of touch points, right? So some buyers, some people might never want to buy a course because they're like, I don't want to buy a course. I don't want to go through the course and then try it out myself and then still, spend a few weeks trial and error. No, I want to pay you, even if it's a premium, to work with me one-on-one and help me solve this problem as fast as possible. You will have those type of buyers, and they might not even join your paid Substack, for example. They're not interested in that monthly or annual subscription, but they are ready to buy you, to basically buy your high ticket offer right now. So in that sense, I think it's a good decision to have those different offers available to serve different types of buyers. And all you need to do is teach the same skills, right? It's the same content, it's the same information, the same frameworks, just delivered in a different vehicle. All right, so those were the 3 lessons that we have learned from growing to 1,000 paid subscribers in 2025. 2025 has been an amazing year for us, but let's look a little bit into the future, into 2026, very shortly, very quickly. What is one thing that you are excited for, that you're looking forward to in 2026 on Substack? And let me start with you, Philip.
I 100% believe that 2026 will be the year where Substack becomes mainstream. When I talk about mainstream, I mean that it will rise to a level of an Instagram and LinkedIn or other platforms. It might not instantly get there in terms of user numbers, but it will become a household name. And we are seeing this for multiple reasons. So if you take a look at the beginning of this year, Substack was still very niche January 2025. Now, by the end of 2025, suddenly there are people like Kamala Harris on the platform. Justin Welsh is on the platform, for everyone who knows creator like him. There are so many people from different audiences joining the platform. Paying subscriptions are rising. Monthly active users are rising. So basically, Substack is doing whatever it can to uptick its user numbers. But Substack is also adding amazing features that make it like the only platform on the internet that can be your one-stop home. So for example, on Substack, you can have short-form posting like on LinkedIn. You can have long-form posting like on Medium. You have a newsletter with almost similar features to Kit. You have the opportunity to do podcasting. You can host your videos and cross-post them to YouTube. So you can really do a lot with Substack. And this basically allows you as a creator to right now claim land, build an audience at a platform that is not where LinkedIn or where Twitter or where X is right now, but where it's predicted to grow. And honestly speaking, I'm not interested in joining X or LinkedIn right now because there are already hundreds of million people there creating content and the platform is already saturated. It's already at the point where those platforms are declining, while Substack has a lot of growth potential. And growth potential is the most important thing for you as a creator because you want to grow your business, grow your email list, grow your audience, and also grow your income.
What about you, Sinem? What are you looking forward to?
I love that Substack is becoming more of a multimedia platform, and this might sound weird as someone who actually started with writing and who has written for almost a decade by now, but I see a lot of potential because voice video is less less prone to be replaced by AI in the short run. And even though you can tell a difference between whether something is just, scripted and written by AI or there's actually human thought flowing into an article, I feel like this combination is actually going to make most popular Substacks stand out, at least in the next 12 months. And I love that we have already started to explore that for ourselves with the podcast, with YouTube. We have a lot more ideas on how to bring much more personality into our content, whether that's sharing the behind the scenes of our product launches or sharing the behind the scenes of what we do when we get together as a team, how we plan, how we make decisions. And I feel like people are craving those types of behind the scenes insights and also kind of the raw material that is not overly edited and polished. That's something that I'm excited to produce, but also excited to see my favorite creators share more. And I feel like Substack is just making that, like, with all the upgrades and changes that we see in terms of tools, it's just becoming more and more easy. And I'm excited to explore that for ourselves.
Let me quickly build on what Sinem just said, because I completely agree. It's becoming a multimedia platform and there are new features rolling out on Substack literally like every single week. And one thing that we've also seen in the last couple of months is that more and more successful creators with 50 or hundreds of thousand email subscribers or followers on other platforms have reached out to us asking us if we could help them onboard on Substack because they don't know how the platform works and they want to leverage it for their existing audiences. And this is something super interesting where I also see a lot of potential for us as creators who are already at a position where we know the ins and outs of Substack. And it's just super cool to have people where I really look up to, where I think like, wow, they built amazing businesses, suddenly come to us asking for advice on something that's completely new for them.
Yeah, absolutely agree on that. I would say one thing that I'm really looking forward to in 2026 are email automations. The fact that Substack is adding that to their mix, and I've always been big on automations in businesses, but that wasn't really possible with Substack before, right? You only had this one automated welcome email to free subscribers and paid subscribers. That was it. But now they're going to add automated sequences to the mix, so you can basically build your own automated email flow. And I think that's going to be a game changer, especially for people who have digital products or have their paid Substack, because now you can basically set up an automation once, and you know that if someone subscribes as a free subscriber, they will automatically receive that email sequence where maybe you promote your paid Substack, maybe you promote some of your digital products or other offers. Similarly, you can do the same thing, an automated sequence for your paid subscribers, right, who just joined. You welcome them, you maybe share a bit about your other exclusive offers that you have. I really think that's going to be a game changer for Substack, where it's, in my opinion, one of the things that we're really missing, and why we recommended people use a tool like Git as well on top of Substack. But if Substack does this well, these automated flows, like there's going to be way less use for people to get a tool like Git or MailerLite or any of those other tools. So I'm really excited about that for Substack in a new year. All right, with that, having covered that, we have arrived at the end of the last episode of 2025. Sinem, Philip, thank you so much for jumping on today's podcast. And thank you all for tuning into this episode and for being with us in 2025. We really appreciate your support. We appreciate that you are on this journey together with us, and we are really looking forward to the next year, to building awesome things and make it an amazing year on Substack and beyond.
Thank you so much for having us, Jari.
Thanks everyone for listening, and have an amazing end of the year. We'll see you in 2026.